It's love talk, we also bully. Gets deep, but we still love and laugh. Love talk, let's chat.
Hello, and welcome to Love Talks. Well, when love talks, the world listens. I'm your girl, also ravishing.
And I'm Boogie. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year!
It's 2026. Hope y'all feeling lucky. Hope y'all feeling blessed. Um,
Yes.
we have another special guest today. Couldn't be more happier to start it off with her. Mary is a beautiful light from Blessed to Crochet,
Mhm.
who on her platform shares awareness about fibromyalgia, autism, and just really helps us to understand how with faith we can get through anything. So let's extend the warm welcome to her and welcome her to the stage.
Yes.
Hi,
Welcome,
everybody.
Mary.
Hopefully, everybody is doing well today.
Yes, awesome.
Yes. And you?
I am doing good. I've had a good day.
Oh,
We saw a friend, a former pastor of ours, that moved up back to Ohio, and we actually got to see him in a local church today. Went out to lunch, so it was like the Florida crew was good, and Florida friends, and snow outside, which was really weird.
Oh, oh yeah, oh, yeah. The interesting combination,
Yeah.
but
mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Oh, that is. Okay, so Mary, we're gonna start the show off with a little game that we're called that is called one word check-in. Me and Boogie Time is going to give you different prompts, and you have to answer the prompts just with one word. Don't think too hard. The first word that comes to mind, you just say it. All right.
Great. All right, so I'm gonna go. It says, right now, my heart feels.
Happy,
Mm. Love is
patient,
Amen. Strength means.
pain,
Mm,
mm. Peace looks like.
crochet.
Mm.
blessed to crochet.
Yes.
Yes.
Being a mom feels.
Blessed.
Mm,
Mm. Your mindset today is.
Strength.
Mm.
Trust looks like.
You said trust, right?
Yes.
Okay. Love.
Your daughter teaches you.
Patience. Especially right now.
Growth feels.
Challenging.
Sharing your story is.
Easy.
Mm.
Partnership means.
Peace.
Marriage today is.
Work.
Legacy means.
Building.
Grief taught you.
Love.
Blessed to crochet is.
Connection.
Love it.
Okay. And my last one is your next season feels.
Yeah. Which is grandmother in Greek.
All
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah season.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yep.
Yes. Mary, it's a wonderful thing in the world.
Mhm.
I just became a lovey, that's grandma. Um, my grandbaby is 5 months. She'll be 6 months on the 18th. And oh my gosh, she just stole my heart.
She's the
So
cutest.
from day one, you find out.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. Okay,
Yeah.
that was good. Okay,
Yeah.
now on to the questions.
So, Blessed to Crochet, their channel. I know you're on the channel along with Kathy, your mom.
Yes. That's my mom.
Um, what inspired the channel?
Well, quite frankly, it had nothing to do with what I originally started it for. My daughter got married and I was kind of in that empty nest, and I went to crochet, and which helps me with my chronic pain every day. And I said to my mom, it was probably in January of 23, after going through a really difficult season in my life and finding that YouTube was much more than just videos, that you can actually connect with people and make friendships and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, why don't we just take this channel, Mom, and see what happens? I'll take the connection, and any revenue we get from it, I want you to have it.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. I had no desire to monetize it. I never thought that was going to happen. And it was actually Mocha that got me to think this is possible to actually monetize, because I stuck a video up that I actually had sent to my aunt that came to visit us. And I said, this is Mocha. And I didn't do anything to it. I just put it up, and it had over 10,000 views. And I thought,
Wow.
and we had like over 100 people. I mean, we went from like 50 to 150 people. And I thought, there's a possibility that this channel could go and we could get monetized. Other than that, I was just putting our crochet stuff up for people to see. And I thought, let's just try this. And I did our first live stream January 13th of 2023, which seems like forever ago. And my mom is much more comfortable in the back scenes.
Okay. Okay.
I'm the talker of the
Okay.
family.
Sounds like a great team, clearly. And for
Mhm,
those that don't know, you want to tell the audience who Mocha is?
mhm.
Mocha is our Staffordshire Bull Terrier. She's actually my daughter's dog, who cannot have her at this time. So we're kind of being grandparents to that dog too as well. Mocha was rescued. She was actually abused in 2 prior homes before we got her. And so she didn't know what love was. And my daughter fostered her and then just could not let her go. And we have a wonderful lady where we live that comes almost every day with kindness of her heart, because I'm disabled. So is my husband. My mother's older, and takes this dog for a run. It's just like, thank you, because we can't do what, that kind of physical need for Mocha. And she goes for a run with her. And she's kind of like the emotional support dog for my husband. And she loves hiding under the blanket while I crochet. And it's just,
Oh, that's so
Love
cute.
it.
yes.
What does love mean to you in this season of your life?
It's changing, because my daughter said today, she said, I loved when I found out I was going to have a baby. She said, from the moment I found out I was, and she said, but the love for this little one's growing every day. And I said, well, I exactly did the same thing. When I found out, it was like, I love this little one, and it's like it's growing. And I said,
Mhm.
I'm also having to be very patient with my daughter, which is
Mhm.
not easy, because she'll call me up, especially as someone on the spectrum who doesn't handle change very well. And of course, her body is changing daily. And she is also towards the high risk pregnancy because she's a diabetic. And so, she said to me, Mom, you're my safe space. So she'll call up and she'll snip at me a little bit, or she'll kind of fuss at me because I shouldn't have sent her that at this time. It's just kind of like I'm having to really extend a lot of grace. And I've just reminded her, you're going through this for the first time. I've been through this once, but remind you, I'm going through it for the first time too. So you've got to
Right.
tell me if something's bothering you, if I'm overwhelming you, whatever it is, you've got to tell me. So I'm having to really, that's why I said love with grace. It's kind of like I'm having to
Yeah.
really be patient and say, okay, I'm the safe place for her to follow, because I don't want the stress. I don't want to stress her out any more than she needs to be.
That's
So
right.
different things are happening.
That's right.
I'm happy you mentioned that, because I'm pregnant myself right now, and in full transparency, like my mom's my best friend, but I know like that with the pregnancy, I definitely been hormonal, and this is my first child. So, and right now I'm transitioning with moving and stuff. So I'm not a piece of cake every day to deal with. You know what I mean? And I have to kind of catch myself if I feel like I'm kind of getting snappy or whatever. But my mother has given me a lot of grace. She'll tell me if I'm being snappy, but she kind of reins me back in a bit, because it's like she kind of reminds me of what I'm going through with being, pregnant and nervous, excited. It's just a lot right now. But I'm happy you mentioned it from your perspective too, because this is your first time,
Yes.
being a grandma too. So that just made me also think about that as well too. Like it's not just my emotions; it's
Yes.
as
She's
well.
learning exactly how. And if you don't tell her, she doesn't know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And, I've just said to my daughter, if she's snippy or she's kind of, a little bit irritated or whatever, letting that kind of roll off my back and say, she's just going through all these different changes. And, I think the first time that you go through having a baby, you know that what the outcome is going to be and what you're going to kind of have to go through. And after that, you kind of know what you're going to be prepared for. But everything is different, and it's a little bit somewhat, I think, not scary, but it's the quickest pain you ever forget, but you still got to get there.
Right.
You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
That
Yeah.
is true. That is true. The
Yes.
quickest pain you forget.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is so
It,
true.
it is.
My
Absolutely.
mother says that a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think men could do it more than once.
No.
I don't
No.
think.
Mm-mm.
It's my turn. Oh.
Mhm.
Sorry. What are 3 important things needed in a community or building a community?
Well, I think the first thing has to be certainly trust. And I think you have to be yourself. We are very big about being proud of being yourself because everyone else is taken. And I've been really talking. I said, I want everybody to take that. We even made new merchandise with that saying on it. And I said, everybody, let's take this into 2026 really strong. If people get to the concept that there is nobody else like you, so if they're one of a kind, you can't compare yourself to anybody else. And if you realize there's thousands and millions of YouTube channels, but there's only one of you, that's it. There could be 10 Blessed to Crochet channels, but they're only going to be one of me putting the spin on it the way I'm going to do it. So if you've gotten yourself monetized, you're one of 3 million. Pat yourself on the back, because it's a very small percentage of exactly what is, like you did, very small percentage of the amount of YouTube channels that are out there. But if you take that saying and say, I'm going to be proud of being myself because everyone else is taken, go on and be your goofy self. God designed you to be exactly how you were supposed to be. He didn't want you to be anybody else. You can't make another copy of it. You have to have trust. You're not building an audience, you're building a community. And if you have that, then that makes a huge difference. When my aunt, who was diagnosed with stage 4 liver and lung cancer in December of 23, wanted to come up in August and be able to see her family for what was going to be her last time, I went to my community and I said, listen, guys, I need help. This woman is, having all the expenses of fighting cancer and would like to come up and be able to see her family one last time. And with all of the community we have, they all came together and were able to, between points and sending money and everything, was able to come together and actually be able to purchase her plane ticket.
Wow. That's awesome.
Plus, we had an extra little bit over so that my daughter and her could go horseback riding together. And so this woman got up here and got to see her family for one last hug and one last time for a week. And I have precious, and I was kind of talking a little bit about, not only to building community, but I'm building a legacy. My this little grandbaby is going to get to see me, great grandma and their grandfather and so many other things, and their mom, and just so many things there as part of a legacy. But my aunt's not here. She died in March of this year, or last year. And so, I've got film and video and YouTube videos of my aunt. They're going to get to see her, a little glimpse of her, but they're going to get to see her. And so it's part about building a legacy, building a community, having trust, and just being yourself. Goofy self, messy self, however it needs to be. You just got to be yourself. They can see right through it if you're not.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. How has having a service dog impact your daughter's life and your family as a whole?
She wouldn't be where she was without it. Jordan was, oh my gosh, he was my, he was a gift from God. And before, if anybody's standing, they may want to sit when I say this, and I'm not messing numbers when I say this. The raising amount that it took was $15,000. And everybody says I couldn't do it. Wrong person to tell that they can't do it.
I know that's right. Yeah.
My husband, Mocha, is wonderful, and she is an emotional support animal, but she would never fly as a service dog. She doesn't have the right temperament. Every time she goes to the vet, she has to be put under something because she can't handle anything with the vet. They can't examine her for anything without having her to be put underneath something. So she would not make a great service animal. So he actually could benefit from having a diabetic service dog and a PTSD dog. It's about $20,000 to $25,000. And we have to go through privately. If we ever did attain one for him, we tried to go through an agency to get one. We were scammed once. We lost $2,000 of our money. So be very careful that you're going through a credible agency. The other one is in Cincinnati. They have a certain mileage. We were outside of that, but they were willing to somewhat do it. But they said you had to rehome Mocha, which we tried to do and failed. And I was very afraid of rehoming that dog after everything that she has been through. And I thought, this dog is going to be a revolving door in some kind of shelter, and then she's going to get put down because people just are not going to understand her. And so if we were to get another dog, we'd have to go through somebody that would not only train the dog, but train Mocha so they can kind of live together. And we would need the financial resources to do another dog as well. But Jordan was gotten for Christina when she was 12. He came into service. I knew the most wonderful day was the time that he came into service for her. The hardest day was when he had to leave. Because he was gotten to it from a shelter. He was about 1.5 years old, and we don't know his birth date. I said to Christina, well, just do it the day he comes home, which was Friday the 13th. I said, no, you can't do that. So I said, she said, I want to share my birthday. So he ended up getting diabetes, which was kind of ironic, the last year of his life. And then he had some very difficult times. He was blind towards the end. He was having trouble with his ligaments and so forth. And he was in and out of the hospital. I highly recommend pet insurance. I've had it on every dog we've ever had. Okay. And it was her birthday is on the 19th of September. And he went in the hospital. He came back home. And then he went down literally like a just a lead balloon after we celebrated her birthday on that day. We took him to the hospital and they said, he's at the end. And I just knew. I said, guys, you got to keep him alive long enough so this dog doesn't pass on their birthday together. So they did, and then he passed on the next day, about 12:30 in the morning. And I got in the car with my daughter, who was about that time she was 21 years old, and I just sat there and I went purposely in the back of the car, and she had his collar and his leash in her hand, and I wanted to give her a hug. I wanted to comfort my daughter. She goes, "Mom, don't touch me."
Mhm.
And I thought, I can't even comfort her at a
Mhm.
time when she's just lost her very best friend.
Mhm.
And I thought, there was another dog in the car, she'd be all over that dog, like you can't believe. But she just couldn't have me hold on to her. But Jordan was just a godsend. A lot of autistic children really struggle with sleep. And most of the time, I ask an autistic parent, "How's the sleep pattern?" And they go, "Oh, it's terrible." Jordan really helped that. They actually found out that autistic children really benefit from a warm body sleeping beside them. That
Okay.
was me. My husband had to sleep in her room, and any way that I could get sleep raising a child with autism, because she was misdiagnosed for so many years. But I'll just never forget the night. It was about 6 months, maybe 8 months into his service, and there was a space between my daughter and myself, and Jordan just came right up and he just plopped himself between the two of us. Then he waited about 10 minutes and he got up, and I didn't purposely leave a space between the headboard and myself, but I guess I did. And he just got up and just came around. He was like, "Okay, Mama, I got your back and I got this."
Mhm.
And it was just like, he could tell when she was going to be overwhelmed and have a meltdown, and she'd go, "Mom, why doesn't he want to go outside for a walk? You need to sit down." And he would put all of his 100-pound black lab weight on her, and it was just like, you just see her face going, and even with Mocha, she'll get that same thing. If she's stressed, she wants Mocha kind of on top of her. And Mocha's very careful now. It's just ironic. She knows there's something,
Mhm.
and she'll go every place else now but her tummy, because she knows something's going on. But they're amazing. Service dogs, I think everyone that has a child with autism that can get it in the home, that the child likes dogs,
Right.
should have it. And I did not have one of those children that went walking or so forth and wandering off. There are children that do that, and they can train these dogs to actually go find them, be search and rescue dogs. And they don't know why autistic children go towards large bodies of water, but they can. They can be tethered to the kids when they're young in the stores, so they're not all over the place. They're amazing what they do if they're trained properly for these kids.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Could
Dogs
you?
are just awesome, period. But
Yes. I agree.
You mentioned your daughter being I don't know if you want to share that or not, but being misdiagnosed.
Yes.
What was the incorrect diagnosis or
She
what?
was diagnosed. Well, I knew something wasn't right about 3, and we went to counseling. And then a couple years into counseling, the counselor said to me, "This isn't your parenting. There's something not right." And Christina was diagnosed with onset bipolar disorder and ADHD at 5 years old. And I thought, well, my grandmother had bipolar. Of course, it wasn't properly diagnosed. So I thought, it runs in our family. And then it was about 11 years old that we had somebody actually come in the house from a circumstance that happened, and they came in. And there was a lady that was in observing my daughter for about 45 minutes, and she just looked at me. She said, "This isn't bipolar." She said, "Your daughter's autistic." I said, "What?" Well, boy, that answers a whole slew of questions.
Mhm.
Like, if we changed Christina's and decided to do her bath before her food, it was a 3-hour meltdown.
Okay. Wow.
Or if we took her to the store and they had crinkled carrots instead of sliced smooth carrots, she'd have a meltdown. Or the little things that happened. And it was like, all this stuff is adding up. This isn't defiance.
Right.
This kid is having an autistic meltdown.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So then we started taking action. We got, behavioral therapy in the home. I'm a big component, and I've had it on the channel. Need to do it again too with the ladies that sat with her. Actually, one of them was supposed to come up to be one of her bridesmaids at her wedding, and one was her maid of honor. And they're still in a relationship and still talk to each other and still kind of her mentors. And I said they're part of the family as far as I'm concerned. They're like big sisters to her. But they came in the house and they just helped Christina. Because what happens when you take an autistic child and you take them someplace else, they'll often mask. So I'm a big component with the behavioral therapy coming right in your environment, because they would see stuff and I go, this is what I've been trying to say. And they were able to come in and do an assessment and do a plan specifically for what Christina's needs were. When we were moving up to Cincinnati from Florida, we actually had a boy that was younger than my daughter, and he was a friend of mine's son, and he was on the spectrum. And now, if Christina came into a home with a dog, she'd have been all over it. The minute Jordan and her met, they were like, it was just like instant. It was just like, this is the dog. I don't know if there was a show on with like veterans that were trying to find their service animal, and I watched it and I was like, nope, that's not the one. You could tell when the two met. They met up and it was like that was their dog. And Christina, don't matter what it would have been, all over the dog. And instead, this little boy went all over the place. And his mother said, yeah, we went to the jump place before we came here on a Saturday. I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. We would have gone to the party and come home. We would have never, ever went to a jump place on a Saturday, and then it would have been a nightmare.
Mhm.
And then at the very end of the stay, he went over and looked at Jordan, and then he went, boop, touched his nose, and that was it. Jordan very much knew that this little one was autistic and wanted to go over there and comfort him. And we had to kind of keep him apart. But that's all he could do. He wasn't a dog little boy compared to it. And I had several of her friends from their school that were on the spectrum. They all were different. They all handled the situation so differently. That's why autistic children are so different
Mhm.
in so many ways. So it
Yep.
was a very, very difficult path. It was one of the paths I didn't think I was going to be on. I wouldn't trade her for the world. I wouldn't trade who she is. She has a cosplay channel. She does wonderful cosplay. I wanted her to sit down and craft and do all this stuff, and that's not my kid.
Perfect.
Yeah.
How does your faith reflect in your daily life?
I wouldn't be anywhere without God.
Mhm.
So
true.
There is my faith. It was one of the things I struggled with on our channel. I also do pre-recorded a lot of when it comes to any kind of spiritual thing. I try to do it pre-recorded, and there's a reason behind it. When I started my channel, I was kind of in another community, and I want everyone to feel welcome when they come into our live streams. Now, sometimes I will bring up God. I'll bring up my faith and say, believe what you want to believe and so forth. But I like to keep the devotions recorded so that people that want to watch them can watch them. Those that feel that they do not want to, do not have to. Everybody can come in and feel as if they're included and that they're part of it and they're part of the connection. We allow people to put #blessed in the chat and be able to share their channels. I think sometimes people don't realize the value in that. It's not about necessarily dropping your link, but it's about making those connections.
Mhm.
I remember being with a friend of mine who we were sitting on her couch and we were doing like a selfie stick, and we were laughing. Christina was probably 13, 14 years old. I was over at her house. I was absolutely laughing, and we were laughing. And I got in the car. Now, I should have been happy, but I got in the car and cried because I said, I don't remember the last time I sat with a girlfriend and laughed. Because what happens when you have a child on the spectrum, people go away.
Mm.
And the parents are worse than the kids. She wasn't invited to parties. Everybody knew there was something different about my daughter. They didn't want to sit down with me and say, listen, I don't know what it's like for a child on the spectrum. Can you sit down? I'll take you out for a cup of coffee and you can talk to me. Nobody wanted to do that.
Wow.
So I didn't have friends. And so I wanted to have a channel that literally everybody could come in and feel welcome. And I don't want my faith to ever take anybody from coming in. I will never deny it.
Right.
Jesus is my rock.
That's
Mhm.
right.
Amen.
And I'll never deny that. But I don't want to stop people from coming in. Our jobs as Christians is not to hit people over the head with the Bible. It doesn't work. It's to
Mhm.
love everybody, no matter what.
Yep.
So, but I couldn't go through a day. There's no way.
I'm glad that you said that because I do the same thing. I do like spiritual messages sometimes, and they all are pre-recorded. And I do that for the same reasons too, because I want everybody to feel welcome on my channel. And I feel like you might not serve the same God as me, so I can't
Yeah.
get you that way, but I can get you through my lives. You know, we don't have to have the same religious beliefs, but
Exactly.
I can still reach you and make you feel
Mhm.
loved or, laugh just for the moment, because you never know what people are going through. So I just try to reach everybody different ways.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you said that because I do the same thing.
Yeah, it's hard to yeah, because if you're real strong sharing your faith, some people come from all different backgrounds, and some grew up in toxic churches. Some have just a bad association with our Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
And it's like some of them want to challenge you, so they can't even
Yeah.
get really to even build a connection with you because they're already stuck on you putting this God thing from their perspective
Exactly.
at the forefront.
Right.
So like,
Right. But I
yeah.
don't mean to cut you, but I will make it known that, Jesus is my Lord and Savior. I'll let them know that. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. That was good. You've been open about, well, we haven't discussed it yet on the show, but you did let me and Boogie know about it. So you have been open to me and Boogie about surviving an abusive marriage.
Yeah.
What helped you find the strength to leave?
Well, I don't think I would have left. First of all, I can understand 100% when women say, and people can say, well, why don't they just leave? Well, because they won't want their family divided. They want to stay together. And if it hadn't been for the fact that my daughter was 2 weeks old and my parents were there with me, helping me with my daughter, they lived in Florida at the time and I lived in Indiana. I don't know if I'd have left. I don't know really, quite frankly, what I would have done. I was put in a position where I thought this cannot continue. Now, I want to say this. There was a lot of verbal abuse. I think that the physical abuse would have escalated more and more as the years went on. But there was physical abuse or verbal abuse. And he was not, of course, believing in the faith. And of course, I walked away for a time. I was angry with God. I was angry with the world. I was angry with my parents. I was angry with everything. I thought this guy was great. And you also get to see a little bit of a glimpse into that person. You think, he's really awesome. If I can get through the layers of pain and hurt, he's a pretty great guy. And he was. But there was so many layers because he had been hurt and wounded in his life. There was so many layers to get through. But I was put in a position where my life, even the fact that he said what he said, and I'm not going to repeat that, but, the fact that he was even putting that out there, that my life was at risk, holding my daughter. No, we're not doing that.
Right.
And I went up to my parents. I said, "You've got to get me out of here." They got me out, and I called him later. I said, "I'm not coming back. We got to work on this. We got to get out." I still went back in December, a couple months later for Christmas. I still wanted our family together. He came down for the baptism of my daughter. And I remember going through the mall and him saying, "Listen, I'm going to bed at home." And he said, with a couple of friends, "Can you pretend to be my sister?" And I'm like, "I'm your wife with your child.
Right.
No, I'm not doing that." And he spent most of the time on the computer instead of being with me and his daughter when he was there. And then we had to go back to Indiana. My dad didn't trust him. And so he went back with me for some, things we needed to finish up. And I remember holding my daughter, and we got into an argument. We were in his mother's house, and he just looked with his hand full back, and he looked at his mother. He said, "You better hold me back because I'm going to punch her." And I'm like, "I am holding your 4-month-old daughter. You
Right.
punch me, guess what's going to happen?"
Right.
And I still went back home, and I still would have taken him back. It was him that actually wanted to end things. I had a pastor at the time that was very crucial in helping me. I mean, he came down for the christening, and he said to him, he said, "Listen, can I talk to Mary by herself for a moment?" He went out and he looked at me and said, "What do you think you're doing? Do you realize what this guy is like?" And he was pivotal in me realizing that as a Christian, I didn't want to end my marriage. But he let me see, he's already abandoned you. Abuse is not necessarily in the Bible, but he has. You have every right to leave.
Mhm.
I think what happens is women don't see a way out. They think they're going to change. We got married. He was great for 2 weeks, and then he reverted back to himself. He didn't want to work. Working for him was, I don't know what the correlation between not working and working was, but he didn't want to provide. He was happy if I was working pregnant and he was home playing video games.
Wow.
Mm.
So I can totally get it when they say, "Why don't they leave?" Because it's really, really hard. You see glimpses of hope. You're not going to change them no matter what you do.
That's right.
So I look back. I'm very thankful that we were in a state at the time when my daughter was 2. He didn't want to go back and forth with our daughter between 2 homes. So in the state of Florida, you can give up rights and someone else can take them over. My dad raised his hand. I said, "I'll do it." So my dad I still had all my motherly rights, but he took over the fatherly rights. Now, since then, my husband now has adopted my daughter last year as an adult. So now he has adopted her, and now legally, that's her dad. And he's treated her as his own since she was 7 years old. So it was very difficult. But I'm very glad I'm not in it.
Yeah.
And when my daughter was getting married, I have since talked to him. She talked to him. She's since kind of closed the door. She really has said there's circumstances and situations. She's like, "I really have no desire to have any contact with that family," and that's her choice. And I will support her for whatever she wants to do. But I did talk to him prior to her getting married because she wanted to see if he would be willing to come to that. Not to take away from Josh, because Josh was the father of the bride. That's
Mhm.
her dad. But I remember being on a phone call with him, and it took him about 45, 50 minutes. And this was several phone calls in. And I said to him, I said, "I'm really sorry because I know there was things I did wrong. I'm really sorry for things that I did or said. to you in the relationship. I said, but we made a beautiful little girl together, didn't we? And he goes, yes, we did. And he said, I'm really sorry for things I did. No, I mean, things I said. He couldn't even apologize to me for not only the things he said, but the things he did. I get it. Please do not sit there and say to these people that are trying to get out, just get out. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
There's families attached. There's feelings. Even they'll come back and say they're sorry. You want to take them back. It's really, really hard. I don't know if I had been holding my 2 weeks old daughter, if I would have walked out the door. I did because I was in fear. And it was very, very hard.
Yeah, I don't think people should just judge with the why don't they just leave thing, because you could not even go through physical abuse. You could just be with a habitual cheater and not leave for years. So it's not just, it's like you see like that glimmer of hope you mentioned, and you have feelings invested with a person, and you try to peel back all those layers and not just throw it away. And we try to look at, and then if you are a Christian or whatever your faith is, you try to look at that and forgive. And it's a lot of layers, so it's not that easy to just tell
No,
somebody.
it's not.
It's not.
No. It's not. And even after, when everything was kind of going down, he would call on the phone, and just the absolute ugliness that would come out was just, it was horrible. It's just been, and I've told my daughter, as this grandbaby is coming in to her world, we're calling it Lil Bean, because she doesn't want the gender or any of that stuff on YouTube and that kind of stuff, or on social media. Let them do all that kind of stuff. But I've said, Christina, there's things I've told you about that I will never tell this grandchild unless you tell. This is part of our family history and our part of our legacy. It's not the prettiest part, but there's things that I've told her and her husband for the safety if he ever came and visited my daughter. I wanted my son-in-law to know, things, but it's not going to go any further than that. If you choose to tell those things to your children when they're age appropriate, that's up to you. But at least and I forgive him. I've forgiven him for many years. I pray for him that he'll come to know the Lord and be saved. And that's all I can do.
That's right.
And, I will tell my grandchildren, I didn't leave because I wanted to. I left because I had to. I very much wanted our family together.
Wow. Wow. I'm saying wow because a lot of women that's in a physical or emotional abuse or whatever it is, they stay, like you say, because they want their family to work, they have children. But sometimes I just want them to know, like if anybody is listening and you're in that situation, that I understand you want to stay because of your children, but you always have to remember that your children are going to grow up and one day they're going to leave and start their own family. Exactly. And you stayed in a relationship where you was not happy because of your children. Exactly. And now your children are going to grow up and they're going to leave and you're older now. And sometimes you're at the age where it's too late to start over and you wasted your life with someone who treated you bad and you wasn't even happy.
My biggest piece of advice, and this didn't seem like much at the time. It served me very well when they talked for the first time. And I remember it was on a phone call. My husband was sitting there and they used to be friends. Her fiance or boyfriend, I can't remember when it was was he was on video chat. She was in the living room. And I remember the first phone call. I remember shaking just hearing his voice because it just was so hard to hear it after that many years. Because there was no contact. After he did what he did with the rights, there was no contact between the two of them until she was past the age of 18. But my biggest piece of advice to anybody is, I know it's really hard. When everything's going down, you want to come out with all these words against this person, but you have to remember a part of them is that individual. You may not like them, you may hate them, whatever it is, but it's part of that individual. I would get in the car and I would, all this kind of stuff, or in the way outside my daughter's earshot, go take a walk and do all this stuff and say all these things and so forth. But I never did it to my daughter. I told her age appropriate. I told her things that were true and that happened. I told her age appropriate. And I told her that he loved her, which he did in his own way. But I never badmouthed him. Mm-hmm. Don't do that with your kids.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And later on, when they were talking, my daughter said to him, my mother never badmouthed you. She told me the truth. But she never badmouthed me to you, about you. And she said, I was very thankful of that. And you should be thankful of that. Mm-hmm. And she later on said, Mom, I really appreciate that you didn't do that. Mm-hmm. So as much as you want to do it, and you see these videos, and you're like, why are you doing this?
I know.
Don't. Mm-hmm. Do not do that with your kids.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And I was very thankful that I didn't. It wasn't easy, believe me, but it was worth it.
So you're moved on from that marriage, and you're how long have you been married to?
I've been married to Mr. Blessed to Crochet, which we have a shirt with "Be Proud of Being Me" with the cartoon image of Mr. Blessed to Crochet. Okay. And if anybody's wondering, or they're just trying to figure out how to do merch, go and look at our merch shop. It's on our Linktree. I'd recommend Linktree to anybody that has a YouTube channel, because then you get to put all of your links in one place for everybody to go see. Your email, your TikTok, all your Linktree, all your stuff. If you're an Amazon affiliate, you can have a shop site on the other side for people to look at stuff that you're, you like and so forth. But I use ChatGPT to get some ideas. Go through somebody that can take those ideas and put them where they need to be for graphics. We use Fourth Wall. But like I was talking yesterday on our channel about our new merchants, we said, well, I have to be monetized. No, you don't. You can start a YouTube channel and get it right away. Go to Fourth Wall. They have a great store, and you can set up your storefront. But if you're looking for ideas and so forth, to go into ChatGPT and then get somebody that can help make them even better and make them quality for that kind of thing. But I met Mr. Blessed to Crochet in 97. He remembers this at 11:57 on February 14th. And he said the reason he remembers that is because he met the love of his life. Aww. And he was in Ohio, I was in Florida, and we met. I know people don't remember the AOL with the dial up, but that's how we met. We met in a chat room, friends first. He was on a friend's computer. It just happened to be that night. And we talked literally all night long. And we had so much in common. We tried the long distance dating. It didn't work. That's how I actually found my first husband, was through him, because they were friends. And then I got married. He got married. Both got divorced. And he sent me an email in 2005. And he used to end his emails with a rose on the end. And he emailed me. We had lost touch for a while. And he just sent me an email with his phone number. And he ended it that way. And I called him on the phone. I hadn't talked to him for a while. Probably about half an hour into it. And I said, Josh, what's happening? What's going on? He said, how do you know? I said, I don't know. And I said, we used to, kid, we have everything in common but the kitchen sink. And then it grew from there. And he said, if I come down there, he said, will you go out with me? And so he literally packed a bag and he came down in a blizzard in December down to Florida, moved down to Florida. And he said, I had every intention to give you and so forth one last shot. But he said, I had every intention of actually ending my life in Florida. He
Wow.
said, I was so miserable. And he said, between you and your church and Christina and your family, he said, it changed my life. And he came down in 2005. He asked in April if he could date me to my dad. And my dad took him outside and spent a half an hour talking to him. He came inside. I said, what did he say, Josh? He said, I have no idea. Yes or not. And then in June of 2006, he went to my dad. He said, can I have your daughter's hand in marriage? And he goes, yes. And it was just like, okay. So my dad really loved Josh. He used to say, hey, big guy, and so forth. And we were married in 2007 and we've been together since. So we're like best friends, and it hasn't been easy. I, of course, was diagnosed with fibromyalgia in 2013. And my husband was actually diagnosed with something called Klinefelter's, which is XXY syndrome. Most Klinefelter's patients do not make it through, 60% of them don't make it to full term. His mother hid his pregnancy because she was 16 years old, so he didn't get any prenatal care. The song that she has chosen for him is Miracle Child, because he's literally a miracle. Klinefelter syndrome means that he has an extra chromosome, which means that he didn't grow the way he should have. He's tall, but the way his shape is, some of his disabilities that he's dealing with now, he walks with a walker that he should not have had to deal with, was because nobody saw it. In his teens, it was in his health book. He said, Mom, I think I have this. And she said, no, you don't. And sure enough, he did. And so he was diagnosed a couple years ago, and his doctor said, if you have this, you're the first one outside of my textbook in 30 years. So he should have had hormones and all those kind of things done when he was growing, and none of that stuff was done. So it has made for a difficult road. He has fibromyalgia too, which is actually very more women have it than men. But it's hard because we're both disabled. It hurts me to see him in pain, because I know that so much of it could have been prevented, if it had been diagnosed properly. It's a genetic disorder from birth, but the fact that he's even here. And he took my daughter, he said, the moment he and I started dating and things progressed, and I'll never forget it, because my daughter wanted to call him dad, and we went through counseling to make sure we did it right. And the counselor really suggested that we waited till after we got married. Of course, she didn't have the first guy in the picture, so there wasn't another. It never would have happened if he had been in the picture and been a proper dad. He would have never taken on that name. But because that wasn't an issue in this situation, and so I said, no, you have to wait till after we got married. And so we got in the car. We had gotten a limo to the reception hall, and she said, okay, Mom, can I call him Dad? And I said, yes. No, you can call him Daddy. And I remember the whole time we were in the at the reception hall, and she'd go, Daddy, and he just looked around going, what? Because it was so new and fresh. And he's from day one said, that's my girl. That's my daughter. There's been no step. Has it been perfect and easy? No. Having to not only raise a child with autism, but the child's not blood related to you. And the fact that he's still here is pretty amazing. And he'll say, the best decision I made was walking down that aisle with you. So it's not easy. That's why I said it's work. And why I said, when you said stress was pain, is because for a fibromyalgia patient, you avoid stress like the plague, because it can make your pain worse.
Okay.
So you're trying to kind of keep your stress level as low as you can, because it can flare up, a fibromyalgia flare up, which can be very painful and not fun.
Yes. Awesome.
does a healthy, supportive marriage look like to you now?
It's being there for each other. And I can say because, both of us are disabled. It's kind of why I have to be the one that just says I need the connection, which connection does help me, because then I don't think, oh, I'm hurting. But he can't work. He does not have the ability to work anymore. And so we're together a lot. And the fact that we don't clobber each other says that we're good friends. I think you have to be friends first. You have to be supportive when it's not easy. And you have to, sacrifice for each other. And it's a lot of work. And it's not easy. I think people get into it and think, oh, 50-50. No, it's 100% for sure.
That's right.
To make it work. And when you, of course, have two people that are disabled, it's difficult. I mean, I look perfectly healthy and normal, but I never know when a migraine's going to hit. It could happen in the middle of 2:00 in the afternoon. And then if I had plans of going live, or if I was going to get content out, that all stops. I will sometimes go through what are kind of pain chills, which your whole body feels like when you're cold and you start shivering, which hurt because your body's in more pain than what it realizes. And then I have to go lay down and literally cover myself in about 6-7 blankets till I stop. And so if anything was in plans, all that changes. So it's very hard to it would be impossible for me to go and work, because I never know what tomorrow is going to bring. Am I sore? Am I hurting? What's going to be my energy level? What am I be able to do? And so forth. And it changes every day. And it's hard. Yeah. But you have to be there to help each other. And how can I help that person? How can I be there for that person? What can I do for that person? We were in, I think it was CVS. We got a new insurance plan, or we changed our insurance plan. I could tell my husband was getting frustrated. And I said, okay, I'm going to go get the cart, bring it over here. And I said, you sit down. Let me help you through this. It's helping through each other through this thing we call life.
That's right.
And you're going to have days where you're going to snip at each other. I think it was somebody that said, there was days I love, I love that person. And there's other days where I'm like, I can think of doing something, And I would really recommend, and it's on YouTube, and the gentleman, I'm going to forget his name. Oh my goodness. What is his name now? Mark. Oh, I have to think about what his name is. Called Tale of Two Brains.
Okay.
And I would really suggest someone that, if people are looking, he has a whole thing. It's Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage. And I'm telling you, it really opened my eyes about how men's and women's brains are totally different, and how they think, and the nothing box. And I would recommend people going and listen. It's on YouTube. And it's, I have to remember what his name is, but he is funny, but it's a great thing to listen to.
Okay.
Tale of Two Brains, you said.
Tale of Two Brains, and his name is Mark Gungor.
Mark Gungor, okay.
And if you listen to it and you realize that men have the nothing box, like my husband, if I'm going to say something to him, and then we've all had it where they've said things, you never told me that. And I'm like, yes, I did. Well, what were you watching? What were you doing? So if I know I've got to tell him something of vital information, you know what he does? He puts down his phone, he puts down the remote, and he listens to what I'm going to tell him. Other than me just telling him, but you never told me that. I'm like, yes, I did. Or why men can go over the laundry basket and go step over it 10,000 times and they don't see it. it's a great thing to understand. It was like it opened my eyes so much, and you have to be there to help each other.
That's right. That is so true.
My son-in-law is going to learn that really quick. He has no idea what he's in for.
Praying for him.
Yeah.
Like I got my daughter for Christmas. One of the things I got her was one of those side bed sleeper things, the bassinet. And he goes, "Well, why don't you need this? Don't you just use the crib?" And I'm like, "No, you want your wife to sleep because there's going to be a lot of feeding for a long time, and you're going to want the baby just right there. Babies aren't meant to go until they're like 6 months old."
Yeah.
And really into cribs. And I said, "You'll appreciate this next to the bed."
Yep.
But he just was like, and my daughter wants maternity photos done. He goes, "Why do we need to do that?" And then I mentioned Lamaze, and he goes, "Well, why do we need to do that? What's Lamaze? What's the purpose of it?"
Poor thing.
God help him.
But
he's a good man, and he's a good provider.
Mm-hmm.
He's just learning like all the young guys do.
That's
I said,
right.
"You want a girl or a boy?" He said, "I just want it to be healthy." I said, "Good answer, Daddy."
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This was great.
That's awesome.
You have anything, sis? Anything?
I don't. Thank you for joining us, Mary. And shout out to the heartbeats in the chat. You know, we'll catch up and read all y'all comments before we sign off tonight. So thank y'all for being here. And Mary, can you share with the audience how they can stay in touch with your channel, and if you have anything upcoming we should be alert for?
We have the Blessed to Crochet, and really anytime we go live, whether we are doing crafts, whether we're just talking, whether I'm coming on and crocheting and doing a blanket, whatever I'm doing. And this is the one that I'm currently working on. We're going to do more patterns and put it up on our store. I'm going to show people how to do this. This one's kind of big. Actually, Indigo is in here. This is one that she's actually asked for, if I can get it to do. But I'm going to show people how to do these are my favorite kind of blankets to do, because you can see where there's like a pattern on here. It's a flower. Yep. Nice. This one is really big. So, and I've got the hearts kind of like there.
Gifted. Yes.
You know, so I'm going to show people how to do that. They're a lot easier than what they look like. They're my absolutely favorite blankets to do. And we can do ones if anybody wants to commission us. We have our soap caddies. We have the new merchandise, but anybody can come in and just start connecting. We have the ability for you guys to come in and put your hashtag blessed and have people connect with your channel. We do shout outs on the channel. We do recaps on the channel. We have on both Blessed to Crochet and Blessing Through Connection, which is our other channel, which we're going to start back. We actually had a computer crash and it took us away from that channel for a little bit. But we have a connection hub. So people can go into that post and say, "Hey, I'm going to be live at 6:00, or check out my channel." And people can go back and forth and check it out, or I have a new video out, or whatever it is every day. Those come out at midnight. So we're all about connection, absolutely, at Blessed to Crochet. And then Blessing Through Connection, we just open it up. We have videos of ourselves on it. We open it up. We let people come in, chit chat. We make you a mod. You can go visit each other's channel, and you're growing your connection. If I have anything to say when it comes to building a YouTube channel, you've got to grow those connections. You got to collaborate with each other. We're also doing the hashtag Grandma's Corner, or hashtag Blessed Grandma's Corner. And anybody that is doing songs, projects, topics, whatever, that want to use that hashtag and tag us in it, we'll put you in a playlist. That's another great way for people to go through that playlist. So, I need to go check out this channel. And don't stay in your niche. You got to go outside your circle to get more comfortable. You got to step on out. So go outside and check fishing channels and all different kind of channels to grow your community. And we're just continuing to grow. We got past 2,000, which I'm telling you, hadn't been for people like Chip and other people, I was sitting there going, come on. And I said I would go crochet in the snow for 20 minutes, and I did. It was an absolute fail. And we have these too that we, sell. We do this. So this is something great if you're trying to maybe, wish people happy birthday on your channel. And we have our soap caddies, and we're going to be putting baby booties on there too as well. And we just want people to come in. You don't need a crochet hook. You don't need to know how to crochet. You just need to come in and connect. And that's why we say keep crocheting that connection. No crochet hook is required. And be yourself and be proud of it. Stand tall. There's nobody else like you.
That's right.
And your struggles and everything that you've gone through, I'm glad that I can easily tell it and be able to put it out there. And this little one that's on the way, I hope they can see all the recipes and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to make a private channel on the side to, be able to tell stories and things that I don't want out there, but I want just specifically to this little one that can be unlisted. Like my daughter told myself, then we were able to tell my husband's grandmother that she was going to be a great great grandmother for the first time. And then we told his father's side of the family. So I have all those 3 videos. I want to put it in a whole thing, but I don't want to put it out for everybody.
Yeah.
But I can put it on another channel that's specifically theirs, that put all unlisted stuff that I can send them the link and say, here you go. Or as their mama's belly growing, as I'm seeing her every time I'm taking a picture. So I can put it in, I make my daughter a shutterfly calendar every year, and I'm making this baby a shutterfly calendar. So I can show the growing belly and put that in a video, but I don't want that out for everybody. So I'm going to create a little channel just theirs that they can have access in and put those videos and make them unlisted. But then it's not out for everybody to see. So build your legacy, be you, and just have fun. Life is too short.
That's right. That's right.
Love it.
Yes. Wait. I was trying to get back to the comments. All right. You got anything else before we wrap up, sis?
I do not.
Well, we want to thank everyone for joining us for our show for the new year. We want to thank Mary Blessed to Crochet for being our special guest tonight. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Oh, you're welcome. It was a delight.
Congratulations.
Yes.
And heartbeats. Thank y'all. And we'll see y'all later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Love talk, it's love talk. We're all so lonely. Gets deep, but we still love and laugh. Love talk, let's chat.